ChatGPT can read Japanese, it can write Japanese, it can hold a conversation in Japanese, crack jokes in Japanese, and explain the nuanced difference between ga and wa in a way that would make your Japanese professor nervous. It did all of this without studying a single flashcard. No grammar drills, no vocabulary lists, no textbook exercises, no Anki decks. And it certainly didn't memorize verb conjugation tables. So how did it learn? And more importantly, what does that tell you about why you still can't read manga after years of study? The old model is broken. For decades, experts believed that intelligence was about knowing rules. Under this model, learning a language meant mastering grammar and memorizing vocabulary, then assembling words in the right order to convey meaning. This is still how most schools teach languages. This is what your textbook is built on. This is the assumption behind every flashcard app on the market. And there's just one problem. Computer scientists tried this approach, and it failed spectacularly. For years, researchers tried to teach machines to process language by programming rules, grammar systems, dictionaries, syntax trees. The result? Translations that were stilted and awkward, chatbots that sounded like, well, robots. Language processing that couldn't handle anything a real human would actually say. Rules-based language learning didn't work for computers, and here's the uncomfortable truth. It doesn't work for you either. What actually worked? The breakthrough came when researchers gave up on rules entirely. Instead of programming grammar and vocabulary into a machine, they did something radically different. They fed it billions of real sentences written by real people and let it figure things out on its own. That's it. That's the whole secret. No rules, no drills, no isolated vocabulary study, just an enormous amount of real, natural language, and a process of trial and error to make sense of it. These models are called neural networks because they're designed to imitate the structure of the human brain. And the ones trained on language, they're called large language models. Emphasis on large, because the sheer volume of real language they consume is staggering. The result was ChatGPT, and it doesn't just know Japanese. It understands Japanese the way a fluent speaker does, because it learned the same way a native speaker does, by inputting real Japanese sentences. The 4 steps of actual learning. Here's what happens every time a neural network processes a sentence, and here's what should happen every time you read one. Step 1, predict. The model encounters a sentence and tries to guess what it means. You read a sentence in Japanese and try to piece together the meaning. Step 2, compare. The model checks its guess against the correct answer and identifies where it went wrong. You check your understanding against a reliable translation. Step 3, reflect. The model traces back to find the source of its error. You ask yourself, was it a word I didn't know? A grammar pattern I haven't seen before? A particle I misread? Step 4, adjust. The model updates itself to avoid the same mistake. You look up that word, review that grammar point, and move on. Then you do it again and again and again, thousands of times. Notice what's not on that list? Memorization, drilling, flashcards, vocabulary lists studied in isolation. None of that is part of how learning actually works. Why flashcards are fake reading? Let's be blunt about this. When you study a flashcard, you're memorizing a fact. Narabu means to line up. But narabu also means to rival. And the only way to understand which meaning applies in which context is to see it used in real sentences over and over until the pattern clicks. A flashcard can't teach you that. A flashcard strips away all the context that makes language language. The same goes for grammar textbooks. Knowing that wa is a topic marker and ga is a subject marker is a fact. Understanding the feel of when to use one versus the other, that requires hundreds of examples in real context. LLMs don't pick up these nuances on the first pass. They need many, many examples before they get it right. And so do you. When you drill grammar in isolation, you're studying about a language. When you read real sentences and struggle to understand them, you're actually learning the language. Those are 2 completely different activities and only one of them works. What this means for you. If you've been studying Japanese and you still can't understand native speakers, if you can pass the JLPT but can't read manga, this is why. You've been studying, you haven't been reading. The path forward is simpler than you think, but it requires a shift in how you spend your time. Get the essentials first. For Japanese, that means learning hiragana, katakana, and a core of basic vocabulary and grammar, just enough to start decoding real sentences. Then start reading. Real sentences written by native speakers for native speakers, not textbook exercises, not graded readers designed to drill grammar points. Real language. Struggle with it. Try to understand. Check your understanding, reflect on what tripped you up, adjust, move on to the next sentence. This is the process. This is learning. Do it a lot. LLMs train on billions of sentences. You don't need billions, but you need far more than most study plans provide. The degree to which you'll understand natural Japanese is directly proportional to how many real Japanese sentences you've wrestled with. Stop studying, start reading. ChatGPT didn't become fluent by studying about Japanese. It became fluent by reading Japanese. Billions of sentences, making mistakes, adjusting, reading more. Your brain is a neural network, a far more sophisticated one than any AI, but it learns the same way, through input, through trial and error, through massive exposure to real language. So the next time you reach for a flashcard, ask yourself, is this reading? The next time you open a grammar workbook, is this how a neural network would learn? You already knew the answer. Close the textbook, open a book, and start reading.